You know, there's a kind of peace you only find under a welding mask. It's dark, it's quiet, and the only thing in the universe is a tiny, white-hot sun that you control with your own two hands. I was in that good place, running a clean bead on the frame of my new bridge, when I heard the golf cart. You never hear one golf cart. You hear a high-pitched whine, like a mosquito you can't find, and then you hear the crunch of tires on gravel where tires have no business being. And then, the voice. Just what in the Sam Hill do you think you're doing? I let the bead finish, slow and perfect. I killed the torch, flipped up the mask, and let my eyes adjust. And there she was, Brenda Taggart. Brenda wasn't born, so much as she was assembled from a kid of beige pantsuits, clipboards, and a profound, bone-deep certainty that her opinion was a binding legal document. She was the freshly crowned president of the Whisper Creek Homeowners Association, a development of McMansions that had popped up a few years back on the ridge overlooking my property. I'm Arthur Bishop. Folks call me Art. And this land, this isn't a property. This is my home. My granddad bought this patch of dirt in 1948 with timber money and two calloused hands. That creek I was building a bridge over, that's the same creek he taught my dad to fish in, the same creek I learned in. The old wooden bridge, the one Granddad built, finally gave up the ghost in that big storm last month. Just splinters. And for 3 weeks, I'd been driving the long way around, an extra 15 minutes of mud and ruts just to get to my own driveway. I'm a fabricator. I build things that last. So, I did what the Bishops do. I bought the steel, I drew the plans, I got the county engineer to sign off, and I started building. Brenda Taggart stepped off her golf cart, which she'd parked squarely on my new concrete footing. She was flanked by two guys in matching polos that said Taggart Landscaping, which I thought was odd for a security detail. "This is an unapproved structure, Mr. Bishop," she said, not as a question, but as a verdict. I pulled a rag from my back pocket and wiped my hands. "Evening, Brenda. It's a bridge. County inspected it Friday. Said my welds were prettier than his wife's china." She gave a thin smile. The kind you give a child who just said something foolish. "The county does not have jurisdiction here. This entire access road and the adjacent creek bed are designated community common areas as per bylaw amendment 4B. I squinted. "Common area? Brenda, my family's paid taxes on this common area since before there was a Whisper Creek. I'm not even in your HOA. This is when she reached into her clipboard and pulled out the paper. It was a notice, freshly printed, with that smug oak tree logo of theirs. "According to our records," she said, and I could already feel the headache starting behind my right eye, "you are 3 weeks delinquent on your annual common area maintenance fee, which is $250. And this structure," she waved at my bridge, "carries an automatic $1,500 unauthorized construction penalty. You have 30 days to remit payment and, of course, remove the structure." Remove it. I looked at the I-beams sunk 10 feet into bedrock. I looked at the welds I'd spent 2 weeks obsessing over. Then I looked back at her. "Brenda," I said, real slow, "this land is deeded. It's recorded. Unless you can show me a county-filed document that says my granddad's deed suddenly got overwritten by your bylaw 4B, you and your golf cart are trespassing." Her face didn't change, but her eyes got tight. It was a poker face, but I knew I'd called her bluff. "The documentation is filed with our governing board, Mr. Bishop. That's all that's required." Her voice had a new edge, a little sharper. "You'll receive the fine notice by certified mail. I'd advise you to take this seriously. We always protect our community's integrity." She and the landscaping crew got back on the cart and zipped off, leaving me there with a piece of paper in my hand that felt like a declaration of war. I didn't go back to welding. I went inside, past the kitchen, to the old roll-top desk that was my granddad's. In the bottom drawer, under a box of .30-06 shells, was the file. The original deed, on that thick, yellowed paper that smells like history. I smoothed it out. The survey lines were drawn in India ink. The easement was described in plain English. "Private access road, to be maintained by the owner of said lot, in perpetuity." Perpetuity. I like that word. I called my daughter Maya. She's a lawyer down in the city. Smart as a whip, but she's got the patience of a wasp in a jar. I told her what happened. There was a long pause on the phone. Then I just heard typing. Fast. "Dad," she finally said, "that woman has no idea who she's messing with. Do not pay them. Do not talk to them. Document everything. Take a picture of that notice. I'll be up this weekend. This, she said, and I could hear her smiling, is going to be fun. I slept okay that night. I figured, I had the deed, I had the law, I had Maya. What could Brenda Taggart possibly do? I found out at 5 a.m. the next morning. I always get up before the sun, put the coffee on. I walked out onto the porch, mug in hand, just to smell the morning. And I saw it. It was wrong. They must have done it in the middle of the night. Where my gravel road met the county pavement, there was a gate. I'm not talking about some charming little farmhouse gate. I'm talking about an 8-foot-tall, industrial-grade, powder-coated steel barrier. The kind you see at a maximum security prison. The posts were sunk in massive, still damp concrete footings. A heavy chain and a beefy padlock held it shut. And hanging from the center, a huge, professionally printed sign. Property of Whisper Creek, HOA Common Area. No trespassing violators will be prosecuted. My truck was on one side. I was on the other. I was locked out of my own home. Or locked in, depending on how you looked at it. The detour was the only way in or out now. I stood there, coffee getting cold in my hand, and for the first time, I felt a cold, sharp spike of rage. This wasn't about a $250 fee anymore. This was a land grab. This was a bully drawing a line in my dirt. I heard a car pull up on the other side of the gate. It was Brenda's Lexus this time, not the golf cart. She got out, holding a travel mug, looking fresh. "Good morning, Mr. Bishop," she called out, all cheerful. "I see you found our new security installation. Just a reminder, this road is now officially under HOA jurisdiction for community safety." I walked right up to the bars. I didn't raise my voice. "You had no right to do this, Brenda. This is my easement. You've illegally blocked access to my home." "Oh, it's not blocked, Art," she said, using my first name like we were friends. "It's managed. Once your account is in good standing, that's the $250 fee, plus the $1,500 fine, and now, the $500 installation assessment for the gate. We'll be happy to issue you an access fob. $2,250. To use my own road. I'd like to see the court order authorizing this," I said, my voice flat. "Oh, we don't need a court order, silly," she said with a laugh. "We have the bylaw. It's a private community matter. This," I said, tapping the steel gate, "is private property. My property. And you are now on the wrong side of a very serious law. You have 24 hours to remove this, or my attorney will." Her smile vanished. It was like a light switch flipped. "Your attorney?" she scoffed. "You can't afford an attorney that can beat our retainer. We are protecting the property values of this entire community. And the board is unified. You're just one old man on a dirt road. You will lose." She got back in her Lexus and drove away, leaving me there talking to an 8-foot wall of steel. I called Maya. Her voice went from sleepy to incandescent rage in about 2 seconds. "Do not cut the lock, Dad. Do not touch the gate." That's what she wants. She wants you to be the aggressor. Take pictures. From every angle. Get the fresh concrete. Get the sign. I'm leaving now. I'll be there in 3 hours. For the next week, my life was hell. I had to use the muddy, 15-minute detour every time I left. My truck was caked in grime. But the real assault, that happened online. Brenda posted on the official Whisper Creek community Facebook page. Community Safety Alert. She posted pictures of my bridge, taken from low angles, at dusk, making it look like some rickety, dangerous thing. An individual on an adjacent property has constructed an unauthorized, non-permitted, and highly dangerous structure, she wrote. This has caused serious erosion concerns and poses a liability risk to our entire community. We have been forced to secure the area for the safety of our residents and their children. We appreciate your support as we deal with this difficult individual. The comments, my God. This is why we have an HOA. Thank you, Brenda, for being proactive. My kids play near there. Arrest him. I heard he's a recluse. Probably dangerous. How does this affect our property values? I'd lived on that land for 55 years. I'd known some of these people's parents. And overnight, I was the difficult individual. I was the enemy. Then came the emergency community meeting. Mandatory attendance. I got a notice taped to the gate. Maya and I went. The community center was packed. It felt like a public trial. Brenda stood at the front with a projector. She put up the same grainy, bad-angle photos of my bridge. "We are facing a serious threat to our community's integrity," she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. Mr. Bishop has refused all our reasonable attempts to work with him. He has refused to pay his dues. He has refused to submit to the safety guidelines that bind all of us. And he has built this thing, which our insurance carrier has flagged as a major liability. A hand went up. What does that mean, Brenda? For our insurance. It means, she said, pausing for dramatic effect, that our premiums could skyrocket. All because one man believes the rules don't apply to him. A murmur went through the crowd. I saw people who used to wave at me at the feed store now glaring. I stood up. Maya put a hand on my arm, but I shook it off. That's a lie, I said. My voice cut through the room. Brenda turned to me. Mr. Bishop, you are out of order. That bridge, I said, walking into the aisle, was inspected and approved by a county engineer. I have the signed paperwork right here. Your insurance carrier never saw it, because it's not on your property. And I haven't paid your dues, because I am not a member of your association. Your own incorporation documents, which I have also read, explicitly exclude my lot. You could hear a pin drop. Brenda's face went purple, but her voice stayed smooth as ice. Those are legal technicalities. We are talking about community safety and shared responsibility. If you won't be a good neighbor, then the community must protect itself from you. She turned back to the crowd. Let's move on to the new landscaping budget. And just like that, I was dismissed. We walked out of that meeting, and I felt smaller, beaten. She hadn't just built a gate. She'd built a wall between me and my neighbors. She'd made me the bad guy. We got in the truck, and I just sat there, staring at the steering wheel. She's good, Dad, Maya said, her voice quiet. She's not just a bully. She's a politician. She's turned this into us versus you. So, we have to change the narrative. We have to find out why she's so desperate for $2,000 and a dirt road. The answer came 2 nights later. A phone call, 10 p.m., block number. Is this Arthur Bishop? The voice was a reedy, nervous whisper. An older woman. Who is this? My name is Doris. I used to be the treasurer for the HOA. Before Brenda, before she forced me out. My heart skipped a beat. What can I do for you, Doris? No, what I can do for you, she whispered. She's running a scam, Art. A huge one. The HOA is broke. We're deep in the red. She's been cooking the books. And she's desperate. We agreed to meet the next morning at a Denny's 30 miles out of town. Doris looked like a frightened bird. She was clutching a big purse to her chest. She wouldn't even order coffee. She's a crook, Art, Doris said, her hands shaking. She pulled a USB drive out of her purse and slid it across the table like it was radioactive. It's all on here. Maya and I spent that night digging through a mirror image of the HOA's accounting server. And there it was. Brenda Taggart wasn't just a bully. She was a thief. The Taggart Landscaping Company, the guys on the golf cart, was registered to her brother-in-law. For the last 6 months, they had been the HOA's only vendor for common area beautification. She'd paid them $70,000. For what? The documents were vague. Wetlands mitigation. Common area sod replacement. But Doris, I'd asked at the diner, 70 grand? Wouldn't people notice the work? That's the beauty of it, Doris had said, her eyes wide. The wetlands are that swampy area behind the retention pond. Nobody ever goes there. And the sod replacement? She just has them water the existing grass. It's a ghost contract. She's funneling the entire HOA budget to her family. And then, Maya found the email. An internal memo from Brenda to the complicit board members. The deficit is becoming a problem. We need new revenue streams immediately. The Bishop property is the test case. He's an old-timer, lives alone, and is non-confrontational. We can leverage the common area bylaw to annex his access road, assess fees, and set a precedent for the other non-member properties on the ridge. This could solve our budget crisis. Non-confrontational? I said out loud. Maya just grinned. I think we have everything we need, Dad. The day of the emergency injunction hearing was beautiful. Sunny, clear sky. A perfect day to tear someone's world apart. The courtroom was small, but packed. Half the HOA was there, mostly to support Brenda. She sat at the defendant's table, looking calm, professional, whispering with a lawyer who looked like he cost $1,000 an hour just to breathe. Our table was simple. Me, in my Sunday best jeans, and Maya, in a crisp suit, with 3 binders and a laptop. The judge was a woman named Alvarez. She had a reputation for not suffering fools. Brenda's lawyer went first. He was smooth. He talked about community standards, safety, good faith, property values, and bylaw for B. Judge Alvarez held up a hand. Counselor, I have read bylaw for B. What I have not seen is a county-recorded deed modification or a court order that supersedes this gentleman's 1948 deeded easement. Can you provide one? The lawyer blinked. Well, Your Honor, it's an internal governance matter. So no, you can't. The judge scribbled a note. Ms. Bishop, your turn. Maya stood up. Your Honor, we're here today because of a gate. But this case isn't about a gate. It's about motive. It's about extortion and fraud. Brenda's lawyer jumped up. Objection. This is a simple property dispute. Overruled, the judge snapped. I'm very interested in the motive. Proceed, Ms. Bishop. Maya was brilliant. She didn't just talk. She showed. First, she put up the 1948 deed. Then, the 2018 HOA incorporation map, with my lot clearly marked excluded. Then, she put up the email. The Bishop property is the test case. He's non-confrontational. This could solve our budget crisis. I heard the collective gasp from the HOA members in the gallery. Brenda Taggart had gone pale. And what is that budget crisis, Your Honor? Maya continued, her voice like a surgeon's scalpel. Let's look at the financials. She put the ledger on the screen. The $70,000 payment to Taggart Landscaping. Brenda Taggart, Maya said, turning to face her. What is your relationship to the owner of Taggart Landscaping? Brenda's lawyer was on his feet. Your Honor, this is completely out of line. Sit down, Counselor, the judge said, her eyes locked on Brenda. Answer the question, Miss Taggart. Brenda stood. Her voice was shaky. He is a preferred local vendor. Is he? Maya said, clicking to the next slide. This is a copy of the state business filing for the LLC. And this is a copy of your brother's birth certificate. They seem to have the same last name. Taggart. The gallery erupted. People were yelling. The judge slammed her gavel. Silence. She leaned over the bench, her eyes drilling into Brenda. Miss Taggart, you have used your position of authority to harass this man, to defame him in his community, and to illegally blockade his home. You did this not for safety, but to intimidate him. And it appears you did it all to cover up the fact that you are, allegedly, robbing your neighbors blind to enrich your own family. She looked at me, then back at Brenda. The injunction is granted, effective immediately. That gate is to be removed within 24 hours, at the HOA's sole expense. All fines and fees levied against Mr. Bishop are voided. The HOA will pay Mr. Bishop's full legal costs. And I am freezing the HOA's assets pending a full forensic audit, and I am personally referring this entire matter to the District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation. She slammed the gavel. We are done here. Brenda just crumpled, like a marionette with the strings cut. The next morning, I sat on my porch with a coffee. A crew, not Taggart Landscaping, was out there with angle grinders and a flatbed truck. The sound of that grinder cutting through that steel, that was the sweetest music I'd ever heard. They pulled the posts, concrete and all. I watched them load up the last piece of my prison and drive away. After they left, I got my wheelbarrow and my shovel. I filled those holes myself, layer by layer, tamping the dirt down, making it solid again, making it my own. It felt good. I won. That's the story I wish I could tell you. That's the clean ending, right? The bad guy goes to jail, the hero gets his land back, and everyone lives happily ever after. But this isn't a movie. I won the battle, yeah? The gate is gone. My road is mine. Brenda is facing criminal charges. But the war? I'm not so sure. I went to the diner in town last week. Same one I always go to. Doris, the whistleblower, was in a booth. I waved. She just looked down at her coffee. Sadie, my usual waitress, she filled my cup, but she didn't make eye contact. Didn't ask about my truck. The regulars at the counter, guys I've known for 20 years, they stopped talking when I walked in. See, the audit, it was bad. The $70,000 was just the start. The HOA is bankrupt. And to pay my legal fees, and to pay for the audit, and to just keep the lights on. The remaining homeowners just got hit with a special assessment. A huge one. They didn't just lose their money. They lost their pride. They got fooled, and they're embarrassed. And it's easier, a whole lot easier, to be mad at the guy who pointed out the fire than to be mad at the one who started it. I was driving home yesterday, and on the big, "Welcome to Whisper Creek" sign, someone had spray painted, Thanks for nothing, Bishop. So I'm back on my land. My bridge is finished. It's beautiful. Steel and concrete, built to last 100 years. But I'm the difficult individual. The recluse. The man who won. I look at that bridge, and I have to wonder, what's the cost of being right? I fought for my land. I fought for justice, and I ended up alone. So, I'm asking you, truly, what would you have done? Was I right to fight? Or would it have been smarter to just pay the $2,000, keep my head down, and still have my neighbors? Let me know in the comments. Because honestly, some nights, staring out at that perfect, empty bridge, I'm still not sure.